For anybody that wasn't here last year or the year before, I would just like to point out that Ding Dong and Granny are the same person. And also that a Pokemon in Katie is not some sort of a Lothario, but an ice cream man. This is the third and final part of the Ding Dong dynasty, and it's called Sausages from St. Luke's. As you can see, I'm back again. I'm back with number 3 for the third and final part of the Ding Dong dynasty. With tales of school and pastimes, and antics round the green, and the demise of poor old Ding Dong when she finally left the scene. When the summertime would come around, we were always on the go, and Ma would wonder where we were, half time she wouldn't know. We could be down in Chuchan's Glen, or catching newts someplace remote, and my granny always tell us, them boys jump down your throat. And we didn't have no DS lights, or dolls called Groovy Chick. We made caddy puts and carts, or beat a tire with a stick. Or played cowboys and Indians on cod horse in blazing sun. And the more you beat your arse, the faster you could run. The summers then were long and hot, but water quenched our thirst. We didn't have no ice cool drinks, and lollipops were brave and scarce. Ma once mentioned we should get a fridge, but Da said right off the cuff, when the winter time would come around, we'll all be cold enough. Sometimes the Pokemon used to come. I think his name was Stevie. He had a fake Italian accent and he come from Mullacreevy. He called himself Danucci, and though Granny called him Dirty Dick. If Ma got us a shilny Slater, she would always look a lick. But when it come near the end of August, it was no more playing fools. It was back to early bedtimes, because we'd soon be back to school. And any clothes in urgent need were ordered off Jim Moore. Is mine Jim Moore? A sort of travelling salesman that came round from door to door. Stuff it wasn't all that cheap, but Ma could get the lot on tick, then she'd have to pay it off at 30 bob a week. Sometimes Moore would try his salesman pitch in his languid Lurgan drawl. Now, Mrs. Mcnally, are you sure you're sure that's all? But Da said there wasn't any point in getting quilts for Granny's bed, because she'd more than likely snuff it before the bill was paid. And would always need a haircut when school time come around. The boys had mostly woolly heads that grew more out than down. Joe's was always worse. It just seemed to grow and grow. They called him Gollywog at school, and he was known as Jam Jar Joe. Our brother Jared once told me, Ma, though he spoke with much disdain, your boys would all be geniuses if only hair was brains. So like the Jackson 5+1 we'd go to the barbers up the town, and Mad made a deal, he'd cut the lot for £0.50. And as we come traipsing through the door, it's lucky we weren't vain, because I can mind the barber saying, it's sheep shearing time again. Soon the sweat was lashing off him as he shuffled round the chair. He had to open both the windows, let in a bit of air. And as his son swept up the heaps of hair, they muttered in discussion, there's enough to stuff a mattress and make half a dozen cushions. We all went to the convent school and were taught by nuns and brothers. They had to call the brothers brothers, and the nuns were known as mothers. It was Mother Luke and Mother Declan, Mother Fred and Mother Ben. At the time it seemed quite strange that they were all called after men. And it didn't seem to matter if your head was full of brains. If you didn't know your catechism, you were bait with sticks and canes. Some of them was wicked weasels and laid down canon laws. Tom and Breeds, they often got the works just because they were kitter paws. And I mean one time our Kate got bait and got into awful bother. When they asked her who St. Bridget was, she said St. Patrick's mother. We were never let long back to school till one of us was sick. There was diseases by the bagful, at least the one a week. Maeve and Mary got the chicken pox, and the child come out in lumps. Jim and Joe got yellow jaundies from hooking round in dumps. When Tom and Pat got fleas, I used to catch them by the neck and dip their head in sheep dip and a big barrel out the back. Dad was a deadly man for cures and took some funny notions. Every ailment was treated with poultices or potions. When me Petey got the mumps, me granny said she knew the cure. You put on the donkey's winkers. I've heard it works for sure. So Dad put the winkers on to Pete and let him out the back. I'm not sure if he believed it or he done it for the crack. But as he led him round the garden, we laughed and did you fall. And every time that Pete went past, we went hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw. Well, it must have been round 71 when Ding Dong's head went all together. She'd go roaming round the house at night, so Dad put her on a tether. He'd tie the rope around her waist before she went to bed, making sure that it was short enough that you couldn't reach the bread. Some nights she'd break loose and ate all about the place, and every pick of grub would disappear without a trace. One night he found her roaming round the garden in the buff, so he rang St. Luke's Asylum and told Ma he'd had enough. boys come in 2 white coats with a syringe in either hand. But before they came to knock the door, me dad mustered up a plan. When Granny asked him who they were, he answered very brief, "Them's the boys from Portydown that sells the pork and beef." And as Granny shuffled through the door, I'm sure Ma's heart was breaking when she asked for a pound of sausages and a pound of streaky bacon. So the 2 boys whisked her off her feet and put her in the yoke. Then Ma just looked at Da, and for a while nobody spoke. But the silence soon was broken, and a row broke out instead, because Jim and Pat were fighting over who'd have Granny's bed. Well, a few weeks passed away, and we wondered what was wrong. The cricket wasn't just the same around the house without Ding Dong. So Granny organised a visit. We got the bus outside the bookies. It was specially put on for the ones with friends and lookies. Now, my Granny seemed content enough, and her head was very clear. But this old boy in the corner would let out the odd big cheer. And some old doll just stared at us with 2 big saucer eyes. Granny said, "Past no remarks on whore, I don't think that crater's wise." Another boy stared out the window, shouting, "What's it all about?" The hair was standing on his head and his lugs were sticking out. When Ma inquired what was wrong with him, me Granny, she explains, "That's the boy that gets the electric. He's plugged until the mains." This old matron then appeared and Turles visiting was done, for the patients needed fed, and it was nearly 1:10. So we said goodbye to Granny and thought it better not to test her, because she'd a face you'd nail a plank till and an arse like a sumo wrestler. Poor old Ding Dong passed away. It was only 6 months later, and we all missed her Tara, because for the crack you couldn't beat her. But when she met St. Peter at the pearly gates at 10 minutes past 11, she says, "That boy's braving down to earth for a man in charge of heaven." So alas, the time has come to end this trilogy, and I hope you all enjoyed the Ding Dong Dynasty. And I'm sure me Granny's happy, and I know the reason why. She's eating cabbage sandwiches and dippers in the sky. Thank you very much.